Welcome to our second Creepy October episode featuring subscribers' scary experiences with the paranormal. As always, all these stories have been sent in by our viewers. They are not hoaxes, they are genuine incidents that need to be shared and debated by our audience. So you know the drill. Hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy our second helping of unexplained paranormal incidents experienced by our amazing subscribers. Scratched by an unseen force. This disturbing story was sent in by Janka from Slovakia. About 5 years ago, when Janka was 20 years old, she was not in a good place. She hated school, had health issues, and was struggling with depression. One summer's evening, Janka was home alone in her parents' apartment as they were away on vacation, and she decided to take a shower. At this point, everything seemed normal. But as she turned on the water and started washing her hair, she felt a sharp pain in her arm. Janka opened her eyes and noticed that the ceiling light was blinking fast. At this point, she felt quite scared and nauseous. Then a horrible feeling of dread came over her, like someone was about to do something bad to her. Janka ran out of the bathroom, through the hallway to her bedroom, leaving water all over the floor. As she climbed onto her bed, the light in the bathroom stopped blinking, and the light in her room started blinking uncontrollably. Something had clearly followed her. Janka went into full panic mode and kept repeating, "Wherever you are, please go away, please leave." After a couple of seconds, which she said felt like an eternity, all the activity stopped. The light went back to normal, and the heavy, awful feeling of despair and fear left her. It was like her reality shifted from nightmare mode back to normal. As Janka collected herself, she noticed something on her arm, a small scratch in the shape of a hook. The shape was strange, not like a regular scratch from a scrape or a cat. Janka has drawn us a recreation of the strange mark. Things got even weirder when the next day she woke up and the scratch was gone. Not a trace of it was visible. The skin had just gone back to normal. Janka shared her experience with friends, and one of them advised her to sprinkle salt in the corners of all rooms. So she did, and it seemed to work, as apart from the one terrifying incident, nothing weird has happened since. Janka has asked us to share her experience in the hope that someone may have had a similar experience, or has knowledge of what it was, as 5 years later she is still shaken from the incident, and would like some closure or explanation as to what happened that day. The Eerie face in the Limpet. Now this is an odd one. It was sent to us by Eloy. A few years ago, Eloy's mother retired and sold her home and business, and moved to a condo in Toronto, Canada. She loved music, especially Portuguese folk and pop music, and over the years she collected several albums and singles on vinyl. When she was going through her belongings prior to the move, she gave Eloy her entire vinyl collection. He took all the boxes and put them away in his house, and figured he'd look through the collection at some point in the future. A few years later, Eloy was planning a major renovation at his house and had to move a lot of stuff around. That's when he came across the boxes with his mum's vinyl collection. He decided to take a look through the collection, and as well as finding some gems from Elvis and the Beatles, he came across something unusual. It was a single with a cover picture that looked like an oyster shell with a strange face in the centre. Eloy called his mum to see if she knew the story behind it. She told him that the Conjunto de Francisco Jovia were a musical group founded in Toronto, Canada, who immigrated from the Portuguese Azores. Their leader wrote a song called O Misterio de Lapa, or The Mystery of the Limpet, after seeing it in person. The cover picture was not an oyster shell, but rather a limpet shell. Limpets are a popular food in the Portuguese islands. The shell with the face in was found on the island of São Miguel in the late 70s. At the time, its discovery was well publicised, with many believing the image was that of Jesus Christ. The shell was even displayed at the annual feast of Senhor Santo Cristo dos Milagres, or Lord Holy Christ of the Miracles, and Francisco Gouveia apparently attended the festival and was so inspired to write a song about what he saw. In the song, Francisco sings about his feelings towards the face in the limpet, but doesn't provide any insight beyond that. However, Eloy's mum told him who she believes is the face of the limpet. Back in the day, São Miguel was a very religious and superstitious society. She should know, as she was born and raised there until she immigrated to Canada. It was at the time when homosexuality was frowned upon, and most gay men would live their lives in the closet. and many would even get married and have children to comply with societal norms. Such was the case for one man who was having trouble with his marriage, and the fact he was living a lie. Legend states that this particular man was at the end of his tether and decided to take his own life, so he went to one of the main rocky cliffs on the edge of the ocean on the island, stripped off his clothes and folded them neatly on a rock and jumped to his death. After his wife noticed he was missing, the only thing that was found were his clothes, and it's believed that he is the mysterious figure in the Limpet. Lingering roadside ghost. This next image was sent in by Anthony and was taken on August 26, 2021 in Fairfax, Virginia, a metropolitan suburb of Washington, D.C. in the United States. Anthony captured the image as he drove home from work. He always passed an abandoned house and one day stopped to take some photographs of it. At first, he didn't notice anything remarkable about the shots he took, but when he looked again at them 3 days later, he noticed a white translucent figure in one of the photos. After doing some research, Anthony discovered the house dates back to the late 19th century, and on the right side of the front door are letters and numbers that read 5400 Goolsby Way. Originally there was a general store next to it called Balvin's Grocery. Anthony also contacted a Facebook group called Abandoned in Virginia, and a group member informed him that his grandfather owned the house and the store next to it, and his grandma was born in the house in 1924, and his family had found a 1931 newspaper article in the walls of the house, although he had no information on any hauntings. Could it be that the former owners of the house from nearly 100 years ago still linger around the property in spirit form? What do you think? Living with the spirit of Mrs. Hammat. Julie and her husband moved into a large old pre-Second World War house on Anzac Day in 1981. It had been empty for 10 years and had nothing done to it since it was first built, and still had all the beautiful original fittings and features. However, the house felt creepy and neglected, with peeling paint and an atmosphere that felt like death. A few nights after they moved in, it was a warm night and the couple were finding it hard to sleep, not helped by the cat sleeping on Julie's chest. At around midnight, there was an almighty bang, like someone was throwing heavy furniture in their living room located just off the main bedroom. They ran out expecting to see burglars or something, but there was nothing. In the panic, the cat had scratched Julie's eye, and she had blood pouring down her face, which only added to the terror. Looking down, they noticed that the cat was now arching and spitting at something in the corner of the room, and her gaze was fixed on something they could not see. She growled and hissed like they'd never seen before. After a full search of the house, they found nothing, so shrugged it off, did the necessary first aid, and went back to bed. A week or so later, Julie was home alone doing some cooking when something walked up behind her, casting a shadow on the white kitchen cupboards. The shadow was moving, but Julie was not. She looked around expecting to see her husband home from work, but there was no one there. Julie checked outside thinking that someone was near the window, but there was nothing. Over the course of the next few weeks, this happened often and was becoming a regular occurrence, although Julie's husband did not believe her and thought she was losing the plot. However, strange things continued to happen, from appliances unplugging themselves, things going missing, shadows, and also balls of stale perfume moving around the house. They knew it was the perfume worn by the old lady that used to own the house, as her belongings were left in the back bedroom, along with her old perfume bottles. Even after the room was renovated, walls painted, carpet and curtains replaced, the smell still roamed the house. The couple had 2 children, a boy and a girl, while one night their daughter came out crying, saying she wanted her dolls taken out as one of them kept on waving at her. Julie knew exactly what was causing it, Mrs. Hammat, the previous owner. Julie had done some research with the neighbours to find out more about her and her life, as she was now a very firm believer in the afterlife and wanted to know more about her. Perhaps the scariest incident was when the family was sitting in their living room one night. The dishes were done and everything was cleaned and the kitchen and dining room lights were off. When Julie noticed the glow of the kitchen light, she got up and turned it off and went back to watch TV again. A few minutes later, the light was on again. Thinking it was one of the kids, she checked on them, but both were sound asleep. Turning the light off again, Julie returned to the lounge. It happened again, so she turned the light off and stood there, in front of it, to see what was happening. It switched itself on again, right in front of her eyes. Julie freaked out completely, wanting to bundle the kids up and never come back. The house had been fully rewired by an electrical engineer a few years earlier, so she rang him, telling him what was happening. He had no explanation and said it's not possible. After that, things settled down with no occurrences at all. Julie now feels bad about how she reacted, thinking she had scared Mrs. Hammat out of her own house. However, just a few years later, Julie saw an actual apparition. It was the top half of an old lady walking in to what used to be her bedroom. Strangely, Julie felt no fear, just relief that she was still there. Dudley Castle Drummer Boy. In August 2021, Ryan and Natalie went on a family day trip to Dudley Zoo and Castle in the West Midlands, UK. It was an enjoyable day walking around the zoo, but the real draw was visiting the castle grounds, as Ryan and Natalie are both avid believers in all aspects of the paranormal, and the castle is reputed to be haunted by a grey lady. After entering the castle grounds, the couple started to take the obligatory family tourist snaps, but they also took other random snaps in the hopes of capturing something. When the couple got home and looked through their photos, it wasn't the lady in grey they captured, it was the less well-known ghost of the drummer boy. Take a look. They believe they captured a full-body apparition of the drummer boy ghost standing in the courtyard outside a doorway. This is a lesser-known ghost of the castle, but there are a few stories of him. Natalie has ancestral links to the castle, as her 13th and 14th great-grandfathers both owned it. So perhaps with the family link the boy appeared. Natalie and Ryan were part of a large group of 10 people, and none of the group remembers anyone coming out of the doorway after them, and all the children with them were accounted for and stood by them. Since Ryan sent us the photo, the sighting has caught the attention of the local newspaper, and although some have dismissed it as either a black metal cutout, part of the fence, or even a small child, you can see from this photo there is nothing like that where the apparition was captured. It's not the first time the drummer boy has been spotted at Dudley Castle. He is thought to be one of 3 ghosts that haunt the building, with the Grey Lady, believed to be the spirit of Dorothy Beaumont, being the most famous, followed by the ghost of Lord Somery, who has been spotted in the chapel Undercroft, next to what is believed to have been his coffin. The drummer boy is less well known, and is said to have been killed in the castle grounds by a single musket bullet. And he can still be heard banging his drum at night. He is also considered to be a bad luck omen. So what do you think? Have Ryan and Natalie actually captured a ghost on camera? We'd all love to hear your thoughts. So that's it for this video. We hope you're enjoying the Creepy Marathon month, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for another paranormal related video.